Hi, and welcome to section 3. We'll start this section with a simple module system based on namespaces. Then, we'll review and switch to AMD modules. We'll use a pub/sub pattern for communication between modules. In the end, we'll review the new ES6 modules syntax. As you saw in previous section, our application grew quite a bit, and it starts to be hard to remember all the things each file can do. So, we're going to split the application into multiple files, and we'll use the namespace pattern for keeping references to each file. First, let's add an index file. It will contain our Singleton object. If it was already defined, then assign it to itself, meaning that nothing changes. And if it wasn't defined, then define it as an empty object. Now, let's define one more index, but this time in utils folder. We also define an object, but this time it is an attribute of our Singleton. Now, let's change how dom.js file is defined. So instead of exposing $, as a global variable, we just set it as an attribute of player.js.utils. The same goes for timer.js. So basically that's the idea of namespace pattern. You keep all the dependencies as attributes of an object, and this object may have nested objects. This way you expose one single global variable. Let's start splitting that big script.js file. First, we'll create the queue folder. As usual, first file is index.js. Next, we'll create a collection module that will keep the list of tracks. We'll take the list from here and we'll move it here. Now, let's move tracks rendering into a separate module. We use the module pattern so that inner details of the module stay hidden. Here, we'll need tracks list and DOM manipulation module. That's basically how we access modules. We'll put this into a function so that tracks are rendered not when module is defined, but when this function will be called. Now, let's add player modules. First, we define index.js. Let's move the progress into a separate file. Here it is easy as we just copy-paste it. And now the controller. Again, we copy-paste it into the file. Only that here we'll need the references to player progress bar and tracks list. Also, we have to update references to timer and $, variables. Okay, now we are left with our main file. First, we render the track list. Then we make our player to play. And after 2 seconds, we stop the player. Let's check it in browser, and it works. Now our application is modular, but there are some downsides with this implementation. So in next video, we're going to see what are these downsides and how we can overcome them.